Am I your last one today?
You're my last for today, yes.
How has it been?
Good. People are kind, nice.
What's the most stupid thing anyone's asked you?
No, I don't get those questions. I answer everything politely and nothing is stupid. So,
That's very diplomatic of you.
yeah.
What has anyone said? This is the thing that I can never stand about In Flames interviews. Has anyone said, so you've had a little bit of criticism about the change in styles from album to album. How do you feel about that criticism? Has anyone asked that question?
Yeah, I heard that on a few occasions. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how does that make you feel, that question?
Fine. I get it. Music is very, very personal and I can't really, it's difficult to, um, I don't know what to say really. It's like, yeah, that's fine, I guess. Like what? Like I create the music the way I want it to be, and then we release an album, and then it belongs to the world, and then we go on tour for a couple of years, and then we do another one, and you're you're in a different environment with different people feeling a certain way, and then you record something else. I mean, our intention is always to write as good of an In Flames album as we want it to be, and I'm happy that we don't sound the same. I like that we're a band that people talk about, but it doesn't make me do my music in any different shape or form, I should say.
I always wonder if people who make different styles of music get it as much as metal musicians. There just seems to be something about metal that
Yeah,
it's always being judged by its fan base of how metal it is or how like pure it is.
yeah, but I mean, I don't really. It's like, um, yeah, so. I mean, it's one thing being a fan. I agree. The thing is, I agree with people. I mean, I'm not. I love certain bands, and I don't agree with everything they've done. That's like, it's not my favorite, but it's usually the stuff you like when you hear a band for the first time and you really fall in love with that album or that song. You compare everything else to that song and that moment, and that will never be recreated. So therefore, and it's such a, yeah, as I said, personal, but it's just like, opinionated, and we're talking about a taste. We're talking about a matter of taste, and what is that? It's not a fact what you think. And we also very much, everybody, we're so afraid of something that is new, something that is different, something that's challenged you, because you look at your past and look at the history with, at least for us, we don't want to carry our history as a crutch. Like I am very proud of where we as a band come from and what we achieved, but that won't hinder me in going to a certain place in the future.
Yeah.
And I am really fine with criticism. That's fine. And if you don't get it, yeah, cool. Listen to something else. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're open and if you're a new fan to In Flames and you hear this album for the first time, the thing you can, when you can go back and track our history and go through the whole catalog, what an amazing journey. Like, I love that myself. If I find a band that has a lot of albums, and I'd be like, whoa, there's so much more to be found in this. But yeah, um,
I actually think that the something which has almost become quite underrated is the pleasure in revisiting kind of troughs in bands' catalogues. Like
yeah,
actually, like it's. I was writing about Iron Maiden last summer, and I had to go in and write about you know the sort of the period where Bruce goes away,
yeah,
and uh, the sort of narrative is that music, it was a real nadir for the band. But I sort of like really enjoyed it. Like I was like, it's so fun looking at a band's discography and kind of going on that journey with them. Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah,
If you dive do something like that and actually listen for what it is. It's not like, okay, I'm listening to this and comparing it to something else. Like always like, oh, is this better or worse? Is it this or that? It's like, what am I actually listening to at the moment? And is that talking to me,
Yeah.
And what's the quality and whatnot? I mean, it's just, yeah.
Sometimes it's not even about the quality of the music, though. Sometimes it's actually a marker of where you are in your life.
Sure, yeah. Our albums are different because we are different people. I like, I've said it. Said it a few times now, especially during this when I'm doing the interviews for this album. If we were to record all our albums at the same time with the same producer, with the same equipment, feeling exactly the same, how we feel inside at that moment when we record every single song, I think it will be more similarities between this than it actually is now, because there are years in between, and the circumstances are different and so on, and you are in a different period in your, like, a different moment in your own musical and your own journey as a person, right? So yeah, but I like it to be photographs. That's more how I look at it. If I go back and listen to our songs, which I have to do once in a while because I need to learn the lyrics if we're going to play some songs live, I'll be like, oh, this is how I felt, and there's good moments. And also it's like sometimes like, oh, I don't want to go back there, and it's not because the music is not as good or that, it's just like I feel a certain way.
Yeah I haven't spoken to you, God, I reckon it's I did one of my very first foreign trips as a journalist. I was a kid. I was so young, and I came out to Gothenburg for Metal Hammer. And I will always remember it that we were taking some photos down by the river. I don't know what the name of that river is, but I was the photographer who I didn't know very well. He got me to kind of hold like the lights and stuff, and I just remember it being the coldest. I don't think I've ever been that cold. I don't think I will ever be that cold.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Pretty cold outside now too. It's snowing outside. I'm happy to be inside and talk about music instead.
Yeah, totally. How is? I mean, this is sort of a big question, and I know the records have been. I know the records that have been released since, but how has the last, let's say, 20 years been for you? How do you feel like you've grown in that time from the man that I met all that time ago?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I like where I am today. I think I have a good balance between the person in the band and the person outside, and I can differ, and there's I have a certain way on stage, and that persona might not exist off stage, like, what I mean? So there's a balance that I found, and it comes with age, I guess. And then I have I can, like we talked about, the criticism and all that stuff. I can look at it now in a way more relaxed manner than maybe 20 years ago, where you took things way more personal, and you were like, oh, don't attack my music. This is blah, 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 blah. And now you're like, yeah, whatever. It's your loss. Or if you like it, amazing. Let's have a good time and a good journey together, So, and we are better at what we do. Like, as musicians, we are better at what we do. And if we want to reach a certain way, like skill, like I want to take my music here, I kind of know how to get there now, within our limits or whatever it is.
Oh, okay, right.
We were like, we are better at chefs.
yeah.
And it's not about it being a competition or not. It's just like I know my voice better than ever, like for me. And if I want to do this chorus or this verse, I know it's not a struggle. I know how to get there. I mean, there might be challenges here and there, but those are always good, and you learn from it, And the same comes with the other guys, like. And we also, every time we do an album, we want to set the bar a little bit higher every time. So it's just like, and then, I mean, on a skill level, just we get there, and then that's the next plateau that we start thinking about the next album. Then we start from that plateau and then we go on. So yeah, and I like being in this band right now. Like I love what we do and what we create, and the feeling I have when I play, when I'm on stage in front of people, and the rewarding feeling after meeting the guys in the dressing room. It's like, that was amazing. That thing.
Has there ever been a moment that you haven't enjoyed being in the band?
No, well, there are moments like, every time you lose a member or someone leaves and there's a breakup. Yeah, that it's not fun. It sucks. Yeah. On a personal level, because you cannot lose. You lose a friend, you lose someone that you've been doing a lot of like very intimate stuff with, like being in a band and being that tight, and sharing stories. It sucks, but you learn something from it, and you're like, someone else comes along, and then you learn about them and yourself, and there's a new dynamic. But I never want to leave the band. I love being in Flames. It's I love creating music starting being. I was like, joining a band is like, because we're a bunch of friends listening to this music, and we just want to take part of the scene. We want to be in it, and I'm very happy I made that decision, and I still love what I do. Like the journey I've been, it's been so rewarding. Like it's I don't know anything else that could have.
It's weird, as a fan, like there's music that is within the realm of what you do, that sometimes I listen to that music and think, oh, well, this band are sort of on fumes now. I never feel like about In Flames. It always feel. Obviously, like there's a lot of years behind you, but in lots of ways, I never really feel like you're that far into as far into your career as like the discography says. It always feels like you don't feel in any way. I don't want to say it almost feels like you're just getting started, but it definitely feels more like that than being done.
Yeah. Oh, but that's awesome that people, if that's the way you look at it, like I am not done. I still have things to say. I haven't done the best show. I haven't done the best album. If that was done, I don't know what else like. I still have things that I want to achieve with this band. I have places I wanted to go, but everything, it will come in time, and then
where do you want to go?
To Iceland. No, I want to, I want to play places. I want to meet people in situations I've never met. I want to meet cultures that I haven't met. I want to, I want to have experiences that makes me grow. All that stuff. And it could be, I wrote in I have a line in a previous album in a song that say life is a matter of moments, and that's pretty much where that's the key words I live by these days.
How do you feel about the world right now? It's a big question, but
I'm scared, and I think it's pretty bleak. We should not look hope, but we're too much into criticizing and too much into saying everything is shit, that instead of doing something about it. It's very easy to look at the world and say, it's fucked, and just lay down and be like, ugh. But I have hopes, but this album is very much an observation of what is happening around me. More the lyrics, it's not as much looking inside, it's more looking outside. I'm worried about the future for my kids and their kids and their kids, if and then I think the way we treat each other, and then we have, and where are you? You're in UK, right?
Yeah, I'm in London.
Yeah, you're in London and I'm in Stockholm, and we just pop on the phone and we talk like that, and it's way so much easier today the communication is so easy, but I think we as people we communicate less and less, on a level where it's, let's solve this together. We always pointing fingers and saying you fucked up this or that, and you and I can, we don't agree on this, and then we I can't talk to you anymore. I fucking hate you, man. Blah blah blah, and we never talk to each other again. Instead of like, okay, agree to disagree, but and let's solve it. Um,
It's weird, you know. There's people I've spoken to in this podcast. I mean, this podcast is really. I mean, it doesn't really sort of do genre, you know.
yeah,
It veers all over the place, but I've interviewed a few people recently whose politics are very different to mine, and
yeah,
you know, I'm not talking about I'm not talking there's no way I'm interviewing anyone on this podcast who is like a neo-Nazi, right? That's like not happening. But definitely there are people I've spoken to whose views are perhaps more conservative um, or even, to be honest, even kind of further to the left than mine. And
yeah,
I've got some real criticism for it, like recently, and it's just really amazed me where I'm like, I don't really understand how we're at a place where you can criticize wanting to speak to people. Like, that's just weird to me. Like, it's like
yeah,
I feel like that's where we've gone wrong, is that we've all stopped speaking to each other.
yeah. No, I agree. And as I said, it's easier to talk to people all over the planet, but we talk less and less. And then I'm worried when we start like how can I say, when we're getting scared of things like and other people and when we start to these that's when you have the far right and the far left, when that start happening, when we start fueling these ideas about, oh, worry about this and worry about that and whatever, and we don't talk. I mean, something I learned, like when I'm happy that I've been in a band, I've been able to travel the world and see people in different situations. Because if I'm in my bubble and being afraid of everything, yeah, and I'm writing online, and of course I will reach other people. Oh, they're all in their bubble, and and then all of a sudden this movement or whatever it is start to happen, But I've seen all kinds of things, and I like what you believe in and who you're in love with, or where in the world I mean, we're still fucking a beating heart. That's like we have to have more respect and tolerance, and yeah, as I said, the more we talk about this stuff, it makes me really, really worried. But we are not a political band at all, like, but because I'm here to I'm we play shows to make people forget about the troubles, like to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
there and kind of breathe and then give them something to relax for a little bit. Then they can go back and deal with whatever. But when I look at my kids and I see the world they grew up in, and constantly be on the phone and reading people's comments and this and that, and oh, it's heavy, 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 heavy. Right? They
I,
worry way too much about things and fucking up facts and opinions. Like,
what do you feel like your kids they have that fear?
no, I see. I mean, we have a very open and tolerant. I mean, we talk a lot about things, like a dinner table or an off dinner table, and the things that worries them are sometimes not benefiting for them, because they are growing up. They need to find themselves, and if they read stuff online, which is it just adds to the that you add too much. Like, it could be like crumbs from something, or it can be like grain. The more you read and the more information you get grain from this, and then that adds to a big weight on your shoulder, right? And it's you don't know what's. I'm not saying to be skeptic about everything that you read, but there's so many people with very strong opinions, and what I said, you mix up an opinion, what is actually a fact, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. It's weird. Talking specifically about music, one of the things that really scares the shit out of me, and there's bigger problems in the world, but one of the things that really scares the shit out of me is, like, say within this genre of music, where really, it kind of comes from a place of like challenging people or upsetting people. It feels like kind of there's so many sensitivities, like, at
yeah.
the moment, that I'd really worry about, art, really. Is that ever Does that ever come into your mind when you're creating?
No, when we create, it comes from a very natural, pure state. We have so much trust coming from our record label and management, and that they don't interfere with our music. And we don't think, I love my fans, don't get me wrong. They are the ones that carry us. They are why I can do what I do and travel the world. But when it comes to the music, I can't cater to, let's say, 1,000 people's opinion about who I should be or what I should write. It's just not, it will be, no, that's not what we do.
I guess though, that is there a, like,
and I sorry to interrupt you, but what I fell in love with, or my thought of the scene and whatever, and metal in general, was that it was the music that was, you could do whatever you want. It was loud guitar and drums and screaming and huge bass, whatever, but you were allowed to do whatever. And the deeper I got into the scene and the longer I've been creating music, all of these rules start to occur. It comes like, oh, you can't do this. You can't take this chord belong to this scene. And then therefore you gave all these people the finger because you don't belong in this anymore. And that to me is just insane. Like, I try to be as open and free in my creation as possible, without, like, what is important to me is to have the sound of In Flames. Whether we do this song or that song, it has to be the soul and DNA of In Flames has to be intact. And it is to me through all these years, right? Yeah.
That's really interesting. I mean, is there almost like a ideological, I mean, I'm going to break it, I'm going to make it sound more sterile than I imagine it is, but is there almost like a sort of ideological sonic kind of checklist where you're like, oh, this feels like, or is it more of a gut feeling that this feels like In Flames?
It's definitely gut feeling. Like, it's definitely, and you're like, because we don't, when it comes to, like, we have two different modes, right? We have a touring mode, and that's all we do. That's all we think about. We don't write during that period. Then now it's time to make another album, and we decided, no one else. Like, we just, okay, we need some more songs to play live now. We want to do this, and then we decide to write an album, and that's all we think about. But it's very connected to, like for the last 3 albums, for instance, we go to LA. That's where our producer Howard Benson and his team, where they live, and they have their studio. So we rent a house, and we bring some recording equipment with us, and we start writing there and then.
Sorry, I'm coughing so much. I don't really know what's going on there.
Fine, yeah, it's all good. Then we write a couple of songs, and when it feels right, we go into the studio, record them. Then we go back to the house, continue. And when we have an album, then we're done. We don't write 40 songs and let someone else pick the best 12. We write very much in the sense of side A, side B of a vinyl, because that's where we come from. That's the way I listened to music when I grew up. And I still have that mindset, even though I understand that people listen to it on a streaming basis, and you Apple or Spotify or something, and you go in and listen to 30 seconds of a song, like whatever. But that's not how I want to approach it. So it's very, very organic when we do it. And it's difficult to explain sometimes. I understand that journalists and people really want to dissect and your music, and they're interested to, and I appreciate that. But you just feel it's just a feel, right? Like,
yeah.
This speaks to me, and that's why I'm so sure now when we release an album that it's all I wanted, and I'm 100% happy, and here you go, the world, now it's yours, take it and do whatever you want with it, and when
well, I've got you, and I'm sort of reminded of this by the seeing your collection of synthesizers behind you. Where are you at with If Anything Suspicious?
I am writing as of now. I'm doing stuff.
I really like that. I really like that stuff.
Yeah, it's very different from anything I do with In Flames, and it was meant to be. It was my way of staying sane during the pandemic. Since I was by myself, I bought a bunch of synths, analog gear, and I just started creating music. And it's a different musical journey.
Yeah,
But
I'm writing a book.
writing another piece, album, or EP or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen, and that's the fun of it too, not knowing exactly, you know.
Yeah, I'm writing a book at the moment, and I can't write to anything with words, and I can't really write to anything that is abrasive. And yeah, when my book is out, do know that that record was the soundtrack to quite a lot of it.
Oh, that's awesome, because I mean, it is very. I mean, it is soundtracky music and
Yeah,
ambient. And if someone would come up to me and say, "Oh, I listened to it and I fell asleep," I'd be like, "Awesome!" Yeah, if
yeah,
you could this, it to me, it's a journey. I wrote stuff. I started writing stuff with having lyrics in mind, like, but then as soon as I were done with the music, I was like, nah, I don't want to write lyrics right now. I want to do something else. And then all these sounds started creating like an imaginary movie or something, and I want to paint the picture with sounds, not with words. So yeah.
yeah.
And
When
not
do you,
being bound by lyric, like verse, chorus, verse, or something like that. It could be whatever.
yeah. No, I like it. What? Let's end with this. When are In Flames getting to the UK?
I think Bloodstock is the first one that we
Okay.
do.
Okay.
Like, so this summer, and we haven't been there for years. And I've seen the festival grow where it is today, and I'm super excited. You know, UK always been very important to In Flames, and we had a really good show on the previous tour in London, and you know, we want to and actually we started this after the whole pandemic. We started in the UK, and it was fantastic. Like that first show we played, I know where we were, but I don't remember anything because it was such an emotional feeling being back together on stage and seeing the people. It was fantastic.
Music, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for speaking to me, Anders. I'm sure our paths will cross again in like 20 years or something.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right,
Take care.
man.